Silent depths. The Marine Guards appeared without warning outside Commander Sarah Mitchell's station. No explanation, no accusation, just a silent escort through corridors where colleagues suddenly found reasons to look away. Her career was ending in whispers. Hours later, adrift in open ocean, she watched in disbelief as the impossible happened. An unmarked submarine rose from the depths, moving toward her alone. First light. The first rays of dawn stretched across the flight deck of the USS Intrepid, painting the steel in amber and gold. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood at the edge of the massive ship, hands gripping the railing as she watched FA-18 Super Hornets launch into the morning sky. The familiar roar vibrated through the deck, plating and into her bones. After 8 years, the sensation felt like home. The ocean stretched endlessly in every direction, the same boundless blue expanse that had defined her career. She took a deep breath, tasting the mix of jet fuel, salt air, and the indefinable scent of purpose that had guided her since Aberdeen. Below, the ship cut through Pacific waters, leaving a white wake trailing toward the horizon. "Beautiful morning," remarked Master Chief Rodriguez as he approached with 2 steaming mugs. He handed one to Sarah, the heat seeping into her metal fingers. "Every morning we're out here is beautiful, Master Chief," she replied, taking a sip of the bitter black coffee. "How's the new acoustic array performing?" "Like a dream, Commander. Your calibration settings picked up a pod of whales last night that the old system would have missed completely." Sarah nodded in satisfaction. Her expertise in underwater acoustics had earned her this post, overseeing the battle group's submarine detection systems. In a world where adversaries deployed increasingly silent subs, her algorithms had already identified threats twice that conventional sonar missed. The familiar crackle of the intercom cut through their conversation. "Commander Mitchell, report to the captain's quarters immediately." Something in the tone tightened her stomach. This wasn't a routine summons. "Duty calls," she said to Rodriguez, handing back her half-finished coffee. The Master Chief took it, his expression suddenly guarded. "Good luck, Commander." The comment struck her as odd, but there was no time to dwell on it. Unexpected orders. When she reached the captain's quarters, the Marine outside gave her only a brief glance before opening the door, unusual protocol. Captain Morrison didn't meet her eyes when she entered. Instead, 2 men in civilian clothes stood beside his desk. Their haircuts and postures screamed naval intelligence. "Sir," she said crisply. "Commander Mitchell, reporting as ordered." "At ease, Commander." The captain finally looked up, his expression unreadable. "You are hereby relieved of duty aboard this vessel." The words hit like a physical blow. She blinked, certain she'd misheard. "Sir, may I ask on what grounds?" "That information is classified," said the taller intelligence officer, his voice flat. He slid a file across the desk. "These are your transfer orders. Your personal effects have already been packed." Sarah didn't reach for the file. "My team, my project?" "Reassigned," Captain Morrison cut in. "This matter is not up for discussion." "Captain, we've served together for 4 years. I deserve—" "You deserve nothing, Commander," the second officer interrupted coldly. "This conversation is over." Captain Morrison flinched slightly, but remained silent. Whatever was happening, it had been decided far above his pay grade. Silent departure. The Marine Guards reappeared outside, not in a restraining posture, but standing shoulder to shoulder in clear escort formation. "Sir," she addressed Morrison directly, ignoring the intelligence officers, "did I do something wrong?" For a fraction of a second, the captain's professional mask slipped, revealing something like regret before it vanished. "Follow your orders, Commander. That's all I can say." Adrift. 2 hours later, she sat alone in a small boat under the baking sun. The envelope Captain Morrison had given her weighed heavily in her pocket. "Open it only when you're 10 miles out, not before," he'd said. Inside, she found only coordinates and a time. 15:24 north, 168 degrees 12 west. She checked her watch. 12:15, nearly 4 hours to wait. The encounter. At exactly 1600, nothing happened. Then she felt it. Before she saw it, a subtle shift in the water beneath the boat. 200 yards away, the surface rippled. Bubbles rose, then a dome of water swelled as something massive displaced the depths. Her heart pounded as she gripped the boat's edge. A submarine, one she'd never seen before, emerged from the abyss. No standard Navy markings, an unusual hull configuration nearly twice the size of an Astute-class attack sub, yet somehow sleeker, more predatory. The sail broke the surface, water sheeting off its smooth, angular surfaces. A hatch opened, and a tall figure emerged, raising binoculars toward her before waving her forward. Sarah hesitated. Everything about this screamed wrong, but Morrison's envelope had led her here deliberately. She started the boat's engine and approached cautiously. "Commander Mitchell." The man's voice carried over the water. "I'm Captain David Sterling. Welcome to the USS Spectre." Sarah responded instantly. There's no USS Spectre in fleet records. Even from a distance, she could see his smirk. Exactly, and that's just the beginning of things that officially don't exist. New beginning hours later, Sarah found herself in Spectre's Advanced Command Center. Lieutenant Anderson, her former academy roommate, supposedly on maternity leave for over a year, approached her. "Jessica?" Sarah stared in shock. "What are you doing here?" "The same as you, Sarah, following orders that make no sense until they do." Captain Sterling stepped in. "Commander Mitchell, 3 months ago, your acoustic algorithm flagged something that shouldn't have been there, moving deep, silent, in waters where nothing should be." A familiar acoustic signature appeared on the screen, the same anomaly she'd reported, the one she'd been told to ignore. "What you found was real," Sterling said, his expression hardening, "and it poses a critical security threat. The mission." In the weeks that followed, Sarah settled into Spectre's rhythm. The ship operated unlike any conventional vessel, constantly moving, rarely following predictable routes, maintaining extreme acoustic discipline at all times. The acoustic lab became her domain. She spent hours analyzing faint variations in drone signatures, refining detection algorithms, and working with Rivera to implement them in the sonar array. "Here," she said one night, pointing to an almost imperceptible pattern in the acoustic data. "This isn't random noise, it's a comm pulse." Rivera adjusted the filters. "You're right, faint, but definitely structured." "The drones are talking to each other," Sarah confirmed, "coordinating movements." The discovery accelerated their understanding. By tracking these pulses, they began mapping the full extent of the UUV network, dozens of units covering critical Pacific zones. Breakthrough. 4 weeks later, the breakthrough came. Spectre had been tailing the Ocean Pioneer, a supposed Russian research vessel, for 3 days. "Bridge, CIC," Rivera's voice came over the intercom. "Possible deployment underway." Sterling arrived seconds before Sarah. They watched as Rivera pulled up the acoustic feed on the main screen. "There," Rivera pointed. "Classic deployment signature." Sarah listened intently through her headphones. "Confirmed. That's a launch sequence, at least 3 units." "Track them," Sterling ordered, "but maintain distance, eyes only." For 12 hours, they monitored the newly deployed drones as they descended to operational depth and began systematic search patterns along the seabed. Their paths aligned precisely with the undersea data cables between Bergen and the mainland. "This isn't research," Park observed grimly. "They're mapping our comm infrastructure." "And now we have proof," Sterling said. "Covert op." With enough evidence gathered, Sterling received new orders from command. Authorized for Phase 3, he announced to the senior staff. Selective disablement of 1 unit for recovery and analysis. The operation demanded perfection. Spectre had to capture a drone operating slightly apart from the main group, without alerting either the other units or the mothership. After days of preparation, they selected their target. Guided by Sarah's acoustics, the submarine maneuvered silently into position. "Contact in 30 seconds, Rivera reported, eyes locked on the sonar display. "All stations, silent running," Sterling ordered. Tension hung thick in the control room. Sarah monitored the acoustic signature, alert for any shift indicating detection. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The capture arms deployed, enveloping the drone before it could send any alert. "Target secure," Park reported. "No visible alarm signals detected." Shocking discovery, the recovered drone proved even more advanced than intel suggested. Dr. Hoffman's team worked around the clock documenting its capabilities. "This confirms our worst-case scenario," he reported after 48 hours. The drone carries both surveillance equipment and deployable packages designed to access data streams from the cables. "Definitive proof of hostile intent," Sterling concluded. 5 months later, Sarah had fully integrated into Spectre's unique culture. Her acoustic detection systems had since identified 3 more drone networks operating in different Pacific sectors. During a rare quiet moment, she stood in the sub's small observation room, staring into the perpetual dark beyond the thick glass. Captain Sterling joined her. "Command is pleased with our progress," he said. "The evidence we've gathered has already triggered policy changes at the highest levels." "But the public will never know," Sarah observed. "No, that's the paradox of our service, Commander. The more successful we are, the less recognition we receive." Sarah turned from the window. "I'm not worried about recognition, but I do wonder about my future." "Actually," Sterling said, "I've been authorized to offer you a permanent position aboard Spectre, as my XO." The offer was both exhilarating and terrifying, a major career step, but a deeper commitment to this shadow existence. The decision. A week later, Sarah made her choice. Standing in the observation room, staring into the abyss, she gave Sterling her answer. "I'll stay," she said, "but on my terms. I'm listening. I want full access to all data on these drones. No compartmentalization. If I'm tracking them, I need to know everything we do. Granted, with proper protocols. And I want a seat at the strategic planning table, not just technical execution." Reasonable. Finally, Sarah turned to face him directly. "When this mission ends, I want assurance that this detour won't derail my career." "You have my word," Sterling said. "Everyone who serves on Spectre gets proper recognition through classified channels if necessary." Sarah took a deep breath. "Then consider me all in." 6 months later, new threats. Standing in Spectre's command center as the new XO, Sarah now carried greater responsibility. In 6 months, they'd identified 5 separate drone networks, neutralized 3 hostile units, and documented 7 covert ops in international waters. Commander Mitchell, Lieutenant Anderson, approached with an encrypted message. "New intel just came in. They want your assessment." Sarah took the report, scanning its contents. Her expression darkened. "Get Captain Sterling. Now." Minutes later, senior staff gathered. Sarah's findings stunned them all. "We're not just dealing with surveillance drones anymore," she explained, projecting the data. "This latest unit carries a compact nuclear reactor and advanced weapon systems." Dr. Hoffman leaned forward. "So this isn't just espionage, it's a potential attack platform." "Correct," Sterling confirmed. "And worse, these new drones operate at depths exceeding 8,000 feet. Conventional subs can't reach them." Park studied the map. "So what's our advantage?" "Spectre's design," Sarah said. "Our max operational depth is 12,000 feet. Plus, our acoustic camouflage makes us virtually invisible at those depths." The deep mystery. After weeks of preparation, Spectre descended to unprecedented depths. At 10,000 feet, the pressure was crushing. By 12,000, the hull groaned visibly. "All systems nominal," Park reported, "but any damage at this depth would be catastrophic." At 15,000 feet, Spectre's spotlights illuminated the mysterious structure. The sight took their breath away. Perfect geometry, materials reflecting light in ways no known substance should. "My God," Anderson whispered, "this isn't man-made." Sarah prepped the reconnaissance module. "I'll take small samples, hull material, tech components, any data records if possible." Inside the facility, as the module entered an opening, Sarah's screen showed a labyrinth of corridors, chambers with unknown purposes, and active technology everywhere. "This place isn't empty," she radioed. "There are moving objects, likely robotic systems." "Stay sharp," Sterling warned. "Minimize detection risk." While collecting samples, the module's camera recorded walls covered in strange symbols, unlike any known writing system. Suddenly, sensors picked up an approaching object, large, graceful, heading straight for them. "Extract now," Sterling ordered. "We're about to be made." Escape. As Sarah pulled the module free, the pursuer followed. Sonar showed dozens of drones exiting the facility. "Emergency ascent," Sterling commanded. "Full speed." Spectre shot upward, the drones in pursuit, but thanks to its superior tech, they broke contact at 8,000 feet. "We're clear," Park exhaled. "For now." The revelation analysis of the samples yielded even more shocking results. After 48 hours, Dr. Hoffman and Dr. Chen, a technology assessment specialist, presented their findings. "These materials don't appear on the periodic table," Hoffman reported. "Their atomic structure is completely different, as if they obey different physics. And the tech components," Chen added, operate at the quantum level, centuries beyond our most advanced systems. Sarah studied the recordings. What about the symbols? Still undeciphered, Chen admitted. But one thing's clear, this is some form of communication, and it seems to contain information about us. The ultimate question. Back in the command center, the team debated the implications. So what now? Anderson asked. Who do we report this to? The Special Operations Committee, Sterling said. But even they don't know what to do. Sarah stared out the window. Maybe the real question is, how much do they know about us? What do you mean? Park asked. Think about it, Sarah explained. They're building drones that mimic our tech, mapping our defenses like they're studying us. They're assessing, Dr. Chen realized, evaluating our technological level, military capacity, response patterns. But why? Sterling asked. Sarah took a deep breath. Maybe they're preparing for first contact, or maybe they've been observing for a long time and have just decided to become active. Epilogue. The wait months passed. USS Spectre remained on silent watch in the deep. Sarah, now a true deep-water specialist, listened for signals from the unknown technology. Some nights, her equipment picked up faint, distant pulses like far-off music or perhaps an attempt at communication. They're out there, she whispered to Anderson one night. Watching, waiting, making plans. Just like us, Anderson replied. Exactly like us. And so Spectre waited, at the intersection of two technologies, a harbinger of what might come. Sarah Mitchell was no longer just a sailor, but potentially humanity's bridge to the unknown. In the depths, two worlds waited, and the waiting, perhaps, was only the beginning.